Hey guys, it's Sam here and welcome back to a Let's Talk video, and this episode is Let's Talk Man United. Now, as a Liverpool fan, I really don't care about Man United. I'm actually quite enjoying their downfall over the last few years and enjoying the meltdown their fans are having on social media about not signing players. But I wanted to make a video sort of going into their having a deep dive into Man United and giving my opinions on it, what I think's going wrong, and just sort of taking the bias out of it and just putting a normal head in that doesn't have ties with Man United, that's just trying to think of something that might help, really, or just looking at what's going on. I think the first problem Man United have is obviously the not having Champions League football is affecting their business. They were able to get Erik ten Hag in, and when he came in, I'm assuming he was given promises of hundreds of £1 to spend in the summer, plenty of incomings, and plenty of opportunities to strengthen the squad and to make Man United better than it is. So far, we've not seen that. Now, yesterday it came out that Timber, that deal seems to be dead. Because Louis van Gaal apparently said on international duty that if you're not playing week in, week out, you don't play for Holland. Which is kind of fair, because you don't, like, say a player is playing week in, week out, playing very, very well. He doesn't get picked, especially for a World Cup squad, whereas a player that is sat on the bench, not playing regularly or not playing at all, is picked ahead of him. Obviously, that doesn't make sense. That's not fair, let's say. So he has to ultimately make a decision whether or not he's in the Ajax squad. He's already on the plane to Qatar. If he now leaves and goes to Man United, where he's not a first choice or not given that he will start every game, he's risking that chance of representing his country. Which, if you look at Donny van der Beek, that's, a lot of players could look at that situation and think, yeah, I'm not going there. Especially Dutch players. Frenkie de Jong is another one. He came out the other day saying that he was flattered by Man United's interest, but he was already at the best club in the world. He was happy at Barcelona. He doesn't want to leave Barcelona. The only problem is, Barcelona are in a financial situation. They need money. They're in mass amount of debt. And ultimately, it isn't up to Frenkie de Jong. If Barcelona have to sell, they already have a buyer. They have a buyer for Frenkie de Jong. Which means they will sell Frenkie de Jong. This is also where it gets a little bit confusing as an outsider. The figure that we're seeing is apparently Man United have 120 million to spend this summer. 120 million. This is Man United. Their owners are quite rich. How can you only have 120 million to spend in what's meant to be Man United's rebuild season? This is the season where they've got a manager that can win things. Everything seems to be in place. They're getting rid of the shitters, or getting rid of the people holding the club back, like Pogba, Matic, Lingard, all of them. How can you only have 120 million to spend on a rebuild squad when you've lost about 6 or 7 players, and you need 6 or 7 players? Even with those players in, they still needed around 2 or 3 players. As proven when they were there last season, they didn't perform. And now you're starting to think it can't be, it's not a managerial issue. Because David Moyes had problems, Louis van Gaal had problems, Mourinho had problems, Ole had problems, Ralf Rangnick had problems. 5 managers cannot be wrong. It's quite clearly the players. And getting rid of 4, 5 or 6 players is not good enough. Yes, it's unrealistic, but Man United need a whole new squad. Now all you have to do is you have to take a look at Jurgen Klopp. When Jurgen Klopp took over in 2015, from now there is only James Milner, Henderson and Firmino there, because Divock Origi's gone. There was 4 in an entire squad from when he took over. He got rid of everyone else and pretty much brought in a whole new squad, because that squad clearly was not going to win us anything. That squad was dead, it was shit. He got a new squad in, all of a sudden we're winning things. We're challenging. That is what Man United have to do. It doesn't matter how good you think someone is, it's time to move on. You have to move on, you have to move forward, and ultimately it's not going to win you anything. Now, if you put a different sort of perspective on this, it doesn't seem bleak. If you want to put it on paper, it doesn't seem bleak. You've got Ronaldo, you've got Bruno Fernandes, you've got De Gea, you've got Varane. It doesn't seem that bad. In reality, half of them aren't performing, and the only 2 that are performing are De Gea and Ronaldo. And I don't know whether this is true or not, but there was a Man United link, like a rumour the other day that said Cristiano Ronaldo is now not on board with the Erik ten Hag project and wants to leave. Again, I don't know if that's true. If it is, that's fucked United even harder, because already they needed a striker. If he leaves, they're going to need 2 or 3 strikers, and on a £120 million budget, where are you going to find good enough players that's going to fit that budget? Especially when they're talking about buying Anthony, which I think is about 50 million. If they want De Jong, that's going to be 70 million. That's pretty much all your 120 million gone on 2 players, on a winger and a midfielder. And it's also been reported that Erik ten Hag is getting very, very frustrated, which is not a good thing. He's been in the job, what, a month? 2 months? Since he was appointed. He's, I think, only been in the job around a month, probably less than that. He's already starting to get frustrated. The longer this goes on, and the longer the board promise Erik ten Hag things and don't deliver, he will walk. I'm not saying this summer, I expect him to complete a season, but let's say the season doesn't go very well. Let's say United don't get top 4. They go into next summer, the same thing happens. He's promised signings, he's promised incomings, but again he's only given a very slim budget to do it. I mean, how much more of this is he going to take? Especially if he has a club that comes in for him and goes, look, we know this isn't going well over here. We can offer you reassurances that you will get the full backing of this squad. You will get the full backing of the board. You will have big finances to reshape this squad, to buy who you want. Realistically, what's he going to do? Stay at a club where he's on false promises, or where a club is willing to back him and prove that they can back him? Where's he going to go? He's obviously going to go there. And this is meant to be the man. This is I don't want to get too over the top by saying this is it, but this is meant to be the guy. This is meant to be Man United's version of Jurgen Klopp. This is meant to be the man that takes a club from a dark path back to winning stuff, back to challenging, back to being the best team in England and challenging to be the best team in Europe and the world again. This is meant to be the guy. And the board are not treating him like the guy. The moment Jurgen Klopp walked through the door, he came in October. The moment he walked in, the board practically were willing to do anything. Everyone was like, look, you gave Brendan Rodgers way more money than he should have had. You gave Brendan Rodgers way more time than he should have had. This is the guy, you have to back him. The board backed him in every single summer market. When Jurgen Klopp wanted players, the board went out and got these players. The board changed their transfer philosophy, and we went from being a selling club to a team that keeps their best players. We always used to sell them, we now keep them. Man United have to be on the same page here. They're not really a selling club, they do keep their best players. But how long's that going to last? When they don't have Champions League football, if they don't get Champions League football again, these names are not going to want to stay, and the big names aren't going to come rolling in. You know, all of a sudden, no one gives a fuck about the history. No one cares about the fact that you won the treble in whatever year, 99. No one cares that you've won more league titles than anyone else. No one cares about the 3 European Cups. No one cares about any of that. People go, what are you doing now? What are you now? Are you challenging? No. Are you close to challenging? Not really. Who's over here? There's a club. Man City, Liverpool, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Real Madrid. Well, they're ready now. They're challenging now. I'm going there. You could offer me anything you want, but you can't offer me what I want, which is trophies. They can. They might not be able to give me what I want in terms of wages, e.g. Liverpool, but they're challenging. And that's where the Darwin Núñez situation comes in. Man United can come out all they want and go, we weren't really interested. We had a slight interest, but we weren't ever going to go for it. I'm telling you now, if Liverpool were not in for Darwin Núñez, he would probably be a Man United player right now. The only reason that they didn't sign him is because Darwin Núñez didn't want to go. The minute Liverpool were in for him, he was like, well, that's it then. I know my destination, I want to play there. Because Jurgen Klopp, Champions League, they're more likely to win things than Man United. He knows the project at Liverpool is more appealing than the project at Man United. And that is a problem. That's the problem that Man United have now. They're being linked with all these players, but they're at the minute they're scouting FC. They're interested, but not really interested, if that makes sense. They're interested, but they're not really willing to push for a player. And the thing that is so important, especially in the summer window, is the majority, if not all of your business has to be done before pre-season starts. Because that way, the new players get to gel with the teammates. You get 5 or 6 games that on average it takes a new player to bed into a new team. So you usually get about 5 or 6 pre-season games where you can make errors, you can make tactical changes, you can experiment with different formations or different players, play this player out wide or play this player in a new formation he's not played before. All of that in pre-season, where realistically no one's judged on pre-season. No one cares about that. It's just about getting up to fitness, ready for the first game of the season. If Man United, or a team in general, are starting the first game of the Premier League season either not making a single signing or still trying to get the majority of their business done, that doesn't look good. Because then, let's say they bring in all of their signings, or the majority of their signings, on deadline day. Or, yeah, on deadline day. This year, because the World Cup is being held in November and December, there are 5 games in August. Because the Premier League have to fit the games in somewhere. There are 5 games in August. I think there's usually 4, maybe 3 games in August, usually. There's 5 this year. Let's say Man United do all their business on the 31st of August. They would have played 5 games. You get all of your signings done. Like I said, on average, it takes about 5 to 10 games for for new players to bed into a new team, usually. Which means you're already 5 games behind everyone else. In a 38 game season, yes, 38 games is a lot. 5 games into a 38 game season, you might think, that's not a lot. With 33 games left, you're thinking, plenty of time. But you're 5 games behind. You're on average 15 points behind everyone else. Everyone else has 15-point advantage on you. You might only be 2 or 3 points behind. You might even be 2 or 3 points ahead. but everyone has a 15-point advantage on you because they all made signings before you did. Those signings are fitting to the squad right now, and they're learning and they're fine. Your players are coming into a team, especially the likes of Frankie de Jong. They've never played in the Premier League before. You're risking a lot on these, and if they don't work, all of a sudden you're in big trouble. And you don't know if they're going to work. And unfortunately, during the season, you have to perform. Because yes, it's a long season, but every game, every point is massive. As proven last season when Liverpool lost the title by a point. Early on, if we'd beat Chelsea, third game in the season, we would have won it. If we'd beaten Brighton early on in the season instead of drawing when we were 2-0 up, we would have won it. Yes, it's unlikely, let's say, that the title goes to the last day. But a lot of things happen to the last day. European football, relegation, all of that. Which means every point is crucial and you have to get points on the board early. Man United bring in those players, you then, like as a 5-10 games, you're 10 or 15 games in to a season by the time these players are bedded into a new squad. That's almost half a season gone already, and you're halfway through a campaign and your new players have only just started to bed in. You can't possibly think to challenge anyone with that. It wouldn't work. And for me, the problem, it's obvious. The problem is upstairs. The board, the owners. It's not great. There was also a video going around. I've not seen it. I couldn't care less. But apparently the Man United CEO had sat down at a pub with the 4 Man United fans and talked about the future or something like that, and apparently there may have been questions about the finances, and I think he said something along the lines of there's money to spend or there's plenty of money there. They might have asked about the 120 million and he probably said no, it's more than that. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not seeing it. I don't know really what I'm going on here. But I watched a Man United fan speak about this on YouTube yesterday, and a lot of what he said made a lot of sense. You know, if you're the Man United CEO and you're going to a pub with 4 Man United fans, and they asked about finances, are you going to tell the truth? Are you going to probably tell a little itsy-wincy lie? You're going with the lie because you want the fans on side. You want the fans to back the board. They want the fans to back the manager and back the players. They want the fans to... They just want the fans on side. So, you're hearing the Man United fans are not happy with the £120 million budget. When you've got a chance to speak to them, and they ask that, or they ask about finances, are you going to tell 4 men to the face, yeah, it's only 120 million, we're giving him 120 million to spend? Or are you going to say, he's got a lot of money to spend, the money's there, it's just about maybe the timing or persuading players to come, or just about getting these deals over the line? Who knows? But we know Man United have way more than 120 million. The thing is, with this money, they have to make sure their deals and their transfers are better than they have been in the past. You let Pogba go for free. You bring him back for 90 million. You let him go for free. That's not good business. Especially when the man has been at the club for 6 years. And all he's done since he rejoined Man United is dye his hair multiple different colours. He's been shite. Like, there is nothing. You can't even argue with it. And if you can, then I don't think you know football very well. He might have got 8 assists at the start of the season. But what did he finish on? I think he finished on 8 or 9. He got 8 assists, I think, in the first 4 or 5 games. Well done. For 33 games, you went missing. Think about the Liverpool game he was on. For what was it? 15 minutes? Nearly broke Keita's leg and got sent off. In the game at Anfield, started the game, was substituted off for about 10 minutes in. Less than that, it might have been. But yeah, around about 10 minutes he was substituted off. Apparently because he was injured. I call bullshit on that. He weren't injured, he couldn't be arsed. He was already on the flight to Turin. And we've seen him have moments, I'm not going to lie. There were, probably counting on one hand, some world-class moments from Paul Pogba over the last 6 years. But the majority of his world-class performances have come for France. He usually performs, I can't say week in, week out, because that's not how international play, but he usually performs on the international stage for France almost every game. Which is an interesting thing, because he supposedly loves Man United. This is a guy that is in love with United, wants to be a fan favourite, wants to be loved, and he struts around the midfield with an ego far bigger than his technical ability, and he's doing nothing. And then he has the cheek to come out and say almost a 300 grand a week contract is nothing. Honestly, how many people are fuming at that? I'm a Liverpool fan and I'm fuming. So I don't know how United fans are feeling about that. The man has done nothing for 6 years. He was lucky to be offered 300k. All those noughts should have been taken off. He should have been offered 3k for what he was doing on the pitch. And my man's saying that's nothing. Do you understand how egotistical that is? For someone so big-headed, that is so incredibly shit at football, who thinks he's so good because he's won a World Cup and he plays a few good games for France, and thinks he's all of a sudden the greatest midfielder to ever fucking live. I mean, mate, you're not even the greatest player in France's squad. You're nowhere near. You weren't even the best player at Man United for years, and that's before Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes came. De Gea was always miles better than Pogba, even when De Gea was going through his odd year or two where people were saying that he was finished and he was done as a goalkeeper and United had to get rid of him. Even he was still better at that time than Paul Pogba. I honestly do not know how he gets that big-headed so quickly, especially when you're reading that But then you look at his performances and it's like, mate, the whole academy, and that's going all the way down to the under 6s, can play better in that midfield than Paul Pogba. United should be glad to see the back of him. The only thing is, they need midfielders because they've lost Matic as well. They've lost Mata, they've lost Lingard. I feel like there's more, but I can't think of them right now. But I feel like they released more. I think I've named 4, and I think they released something like 6 or 7 players. So I don't know who the others are. I think Cavani was one. But he's not a midfielder. But yeah, they released these players. I'm pretty sure at the minute their only midfield is McTominay and Fred. And they're donkeys. Like, you see Man United fans complaining about Fred every week. And now they're the only midfielders they have. No wonder Erik ten Hag's trying to throw all his money at not Eric, he is Eric, at Frankie de Jong. Because he'd be the best midfielder at the club for years. Not just right now, he'd be the best midfielder that's been there for ages, probably since Paul Scholes. This is a long time. He's not played for United for years. And how's my man gonna be the best midfielder they've had since him? There's so many problems. And I feel like that's a good place to end it. I think I've spoken about everything I wanted to speak about. The big thing right now is that this is a rebuild. The most important thing is that he gets time. He needs time. With Jurgen Klopp, it didn't just happen overnight. You know, it took years before he got where we wanted to be. And the same thing is going to happen with Ten Hag. It's not going to happen overnight. The saying, it gets worse before it gets better, is probably, especially if the summer window keeps going the way it is, it's definitely going to happen. And the more important thing is, I don't think the fans will, but it's the board. They need to be patient, and they need to back him. And if you're not going to back him and you sack him, that's just going to be an even bigger disgrace, because he needs time to work with the squad that he has. He needs time to fix it. And like I said, it's not just going to happen overnight. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.